Hey everyone, welcome to the second Synapse Project book review, where we bring you insights and recommendations from the literary world. Today's book is How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, a call to action against climate change written by the billionaire Bill Gates. Now, this book primarily focuses on the concrete solutions that stakeholders can take in the fight against climate change, which is an existential threat against our survival as a civilization. Now, Gates' solution to this climate disaster can be outlined by two simple words, that being zero emissions. Now, prior to explaining the solutions, Gates does a brilliant job by highlighting the need to bring down carbon emissions to zero. And therefore, in the process, he brings to attention the various threats of rising emissions. And the primary threat to rising emissions is the fact that our global temperatures would skyrocket, as we can see from the diagram taken from the book on the slide here. And after outlining the threats and the need to bring down emissions, Gates outlines the solutions to bringing down emissions, and these solutions comprise of five main prongs. And these include changing how we plug in, changing how we get around, changing how we grow things, make things, and keep our environments warm and cool. And Gates concludes his succinct masterpiece by outlining the potential challenges against these solutions that include influencing people to adapt to a carbon neutral lifestyle and engaging governmental bodies to participate. Now, personally, I believe that this book does an excellent job as an introduction to the global issue of climate change, as it is very simple and straightforward in its writing. Therefore, if you want to start researching on climate change, this book is a perfect place to start. Now, one might assume that this much clarity and simplicity might deprive the book of some degree of complexity in its thought, but I believe that Gates still manages to address a variety of viewpoints on climate change within the narrow parameters set by the book, which is a staggering 230 pages long. Now, I must say that this book might be the best handbook that we have to date when it comes to confronting climate change as a civilization. Now, here are some quotable quotes from this book. First of all, we have a quote that deals with the attitude that people have towards existential problems, some including climate change. So, Gates mentions that, but this isn't a primarily technological problem, it is a political and economic problem. People cut down trees not because people are evil, they do it because the incentives to cut down trees are stronger than the incentives to leave them alone. So Gates very brilliantly highlights the fact that our problem is not a social or mindset problem, but it is instead an economic problem, as people are driven by profits and money in our capitalist world to exploit the environment in a sense. So if we want to effectively solve the problem, we have to tackle its root, which are the economic factors that lead to the problem. Now, the second quote here, that is right below the image of the two fishes, is the quote that the immediate point of the fish story is that the most obvious, ubiquitous, important realities are often the ones that are the hardest to see and talk about. So now you might be thinking, what is this fish story that is being referred to? So essentially, as you can see from the diagram, there are two fishes swimming about in a pool, and the one fish asks the other fish, asks the other fish, what the hell is water? Because water is brought up in a conversation. So you can see that the very environment that these fishes are swimming in is so unknown and surreal to them, therefore reflecting that the most basic truths in our lives are the ones that are the hardest to see and make sense of. And one of these truths include the way in which our lifestyle is in fact harmful to the environment, and therefore confronting this fact can be very difficult to many people. The final quote has to do something with innovation, as Gates outlines innovation as a key solution to tackling climate change and a potential climate crisis. So innovation is not just a matter of inventing a new machine or some new process, it is also coming up with new approaches to business models, supply chains, markets, and policies that will help new inventions come to life and reach a global scale. So Gates outlines that innovations are our sole solution to our climate crisis, as they help to think of cheaper ways, of more novel ways to tackle and transform the way in which we do things. And this includes perhaps travel, as innovation could perhaps introduce a mode of travel that capitalizes on solar power, which is arguably one of the more renewable energy sources out there. And therefore, we have to support innovation if we want to move towards net zero output. So that is all for this review. All in all, it has been a very impactful read for me and has also opened my eyes regarding climate change as a problem. So I really hope you enjoyed this review, and do consider subscribing to our channel for similar content in the future. Thank you for watching.